What's going on, YouTube? Okay, do you think long term, right? And I know you're probably like, well, he's coming at me with this question. Long term thinking is something that has been lost in our society, especially among us young people. And I think being long term, for one, being aware of the long term and knowing what you want to do long term, those two things are probably the most two important things that you need to do as a young person to ensure that your future is what you want it to be, right? And I think too often now, especially with social media and like video games, all our entire culture is around quick entertainment, right? I think the quick entertainment of today can really be the main blame for why people in my age bracket are not thinking long term how they should. Because let's just break it down to the most primitive level. If we were like animals in like nature, right, and we had to go hunt, we were like bears, we had to go get some fish or whatever, I don't know what to eat. You have to have a mentality of the future, pretty much, right? You have to think about eating tomorrow and next week and et cetera, right? But in today's society, as humans, we have everything given to us. You have food. Nobody is starving nowadays. Even if you're poor, you're probably not going to be starving. Most people, we all have phones. We all have technology and whatnot. Even the poor people, right? You can say 30, 40 years ago, the lowest income bracket of society probably didn't have as much technology as we do now, obviously. But now everybody does, right? So that raises the problem of everybody has the ability to be stimulated quickly and pretty much whenever they want, right? You can pull out your phone at quick demand, on cue, any time of the day, any time of the night, and you can pretty much do whatever you want. And then we're not even talking about the specific social medias that exist. You have TikTok, obviously, is probably the biggest one nowadays, but you have YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat. I don't know what other social media people use, but there are a lot of social media platforms that are out there, right? And what they do is they offer you this short-term gratification by using their platform, right? TikTok, you scroll. Oh, you're probably wondering, why am I holding this whiteboard? We're gonna use it, okay? But I'm gonna get to that. So you can just scroll and scroll all day, and it gives you quick dopamine. We've all heard dopamine, the term about dopamine, what it means, what is it, and whatnot. And I think if we really started to think about the impact that these phones are having on us, we would probably be more long-term aware. So with that said, let's utilize this whiteboard. Let's write long-term thinking. Long-term thinking. You're going to underline it. Okay, you see that, guys? Long-term thinking, right? You see I have it written at the bottom. I was just writing those words. But long-term thinking is something that has truly been lost in our society. And I'm not really sure if the problem is going to get much better. If we had to be honest and be realistic with ourselves, the problem is probably not going to improve much in the future or whatnot, because technology is only getting better by the day. They release a new phone every year, new video games every day almost. We just don't have any real incentive, especially as young people. I think like my message is primarily targeted towards people who are younger, because we are the people who are tasked with having the most technology offered to us in human history, but also still having to navigate adulthood and growing up and learning how to manage an adult life while having such an addictive world around you. I think the big reason that social media is such a problem, I should say, and I guess how it relates to the idea of long-term thinking, is that it sort of draws you away from even realizing the power of long-term thinking. If you're able to get constantly stimulated or constantly gratified or constantly pleased or whatever you want to call it, at the tip of a finger, and I'm not just talking about phones, right? I mean, in just our world today, if you're doing drugs consistently, if you're drinking a lot, there are a lot of things that people have been doing in the past to escape. And all these things do is they take away your framework to think long term. And long term thinking, like I said before, was vital when we were in the woods and we had to chase bears and whatnot to eat. But now, with your basic necessities taken care of every day, you have no real incentive to go out and, I guess, do anything unless you want to an extent. Now, obviously, you have to still pay for food and you still have to make a living for yourself, right? But I think you guys sort of get what I'm saying if you do. I don't know if I'm making any sense, but to an extent, it's almost like now you have to find that extra within you if you really want to achieve greatness, pretty much, right? Nobody is going to give it to you. And back in the day, back in the day when we had to hunt, you didn't really need nobody to motivate you to achieve greatness. You know, you were gonna die if you didn't hunt. But nowadays, especially for younger people, again, we don't have that extra oomph in our step. We don't have any motivation, and I think a big part of that is that social media and the instant gratification culture that we live in general has offered us a easy way out, and we all take that easy way out. Let's write that down too. Easy way out. Okay, what is the easy way out, right? Let's give an example. So let's say you're a 21-year-old man and you live at home with your parents, right? And you work a part-time job, 25 hours a week. What would be considered the hard way out? Let's write that down as well. Okay, hard way out. So let's say 21-year-old man, you didn't graduate from college, you got a high school diploma or whatnot, right? But you still live at home with your parents and you're not really making that much money and you don't have any no real goals. All you really do is play the game. You don't even really exercise. You don't really have any real social life, whatnot. What is the easy way out, right? The easy way out for most people is going to be to continue living at their mother's house. They're going to continue playing the game. They're going to continue getting instant gratification, instant dopamine from things like playing the game, from things like not having responsibility and being able to wake up whenever they want, being able to go to sleep late, being able to just live a life-free life, right? The hard way out, in this instance, and this pretty much applies to all people who are in a position where they need to do more, the hard way out would be for the 21-year-old man to find any way possible for himself to stay occupied with things that are not the easy way out, right? So instead of playing the game, right? Let's start this. Playing the game. Instead of playing the game, right, which is the main thing that I'll say young men like to do, he's probably gonna let's just simplify it. Work more, right? If you force yourself to not take the easy way out, and in this case we're talking about playing the game, what are you gonna do? As if playing the game is your vice, and you force yourself to stop doing this vice by the law of replacement, if we want to call it that, I'm making up a law right now. You were going to replace it with something, okay? Now, hopefully, that something isn't another easy way out, because the easy way out is what got you here in the first place. But the way out of it is to take the hard way out. And, we can circle the word hard, because I don't think that people, obviously, I don't even say I don't think that people, nobody wants to take the hard way. I think it's probably animal nature. I'm not going to just say even human nature. It's probably animal nature to want to take the most easy way to achieving something, right? But like I said earlier, we aren't in the woods anymore, right? We aren't hunting for our food. We aren't on the constant need to survive, right? So if you are not on the constant need to survive, why would you take the hard way? Pretty much, right? Why would I? Bro, I live at home with my mom. She cooked me food every day. She pays my bills, my phone bill. She bought me the new 2K. Why would I take the hard way out and work more when I could just relax at home? And that's the problem a lot of young people have nowadays. We have no incentive, young men, young women, to really achieve anything of greatness. And I think it applies more so to young men in terms of not doing anything, not taking the hard way out. I think young women in our generation, they tend to take their careers more serious, in the sense that they believe they are. They're going to school, taking their credentialing a bit more serious. But I just think in our community overall, we are lying to young people, for one, about who goes to college. But we're not going to go down that rabbit hole about how the degrees are useless. But either way, both men and women in our generation, 25 and under, I'm 22, so we're going to say 25 and under for my age bracket, they're choosing overwhelmingly to take the easy way out. And the era that we live in with social media and our phones and everything like that, it does not make the situation any better. It only makes the problem worse. If you grew up in the early generation of smartphone usage, I guess I should say, and you seen how the hill has gone up to more and more people having a phone, more and more people, more TikTok like type apps, you can literally witness this happening right now. Look at children. If you see a child who is on a tablet or a phone when he's like a toddler, 2-3 years old, that is indicative of bad parenting, and overall that is indicative of the culture that we live in. People are not incentivized or have no will from within to take the hard way out, and that is why we have such a negative society. I think our society is trending negatively downwards. Overall, I just pretty much wanted to summarize why I think long-term thinking is important. But on another note, I think it's not only important. I would say it's a necessity to a success. Where not just financial success, but long term thinking applies to relationships. It applies to obviously your financials, which is what we're talking about, but relationships, your health. I guess if you want to break it down even further, your health, your relationship with yourself. If you don't have a long term, excuse me, if you do not have a long term mentality that as it applies to yourself and how you treat and act yourself, you are not going to live a prosperous life. Okay. And that might be a pretty bold statement to make, but that's truly what I believe. And I'm starting to experience the I guess hardship of growing up and realizing that not everybody has the same long-term mentality. And of course, I don't have the best long-term mentality, but I like to think I have a bit of a better grasp on it than most other people who are my age. And that's why I like to talk about these topics so much, because I think people in my generation, we need to be talked to about these things so we can start to make changes and actually improve our lives overall. Right? So yeah, that's it. That's the rant for tonight. As always, it's been your boy Brandon Davis. You have a good night.